Hello, Rijibo.com, and today I'm going to tell you why I think that 99% of people who are using full frame camera are just throwing their money down the bin and they don't actually need that kind of camera. Let's start. Before going any further, because this debate is going on and people maybe don't know me, and some people will start writing comments telling, yeah, he's telling this because he does not use full frame, he's just jealous, he would like to have a full frame. I stop you there. I've been using full frame for 6 years with Canon 5D Mark II and 5D Mark III, and then the last 3 years I've moved on to Micro Four Thirds with Olympus, and I've reviewed and used many APS-C cameras, so I do think I know what I'm speaking about. At least this is my opinion. Maybe you disagree completely, but this is my opinion. And so I don't make this video because of jealousy. It's just based on experience and all I read around and that make me laugh about full frame. Okay, so I see a lot of discussion and talks on Facebook and some forums and blogs and whatever of people telling about full frame, not full frame, what's good, what's bad. And many people think that they need full frame. Many people think that anyone needs full frame, that full frame is the only way to go and all this. And I laugh when I read the explanation they give to that. So I'm going to tell you why I think that's not right. And I'm going to tell you also the kind of things I hear to justify that you should go full frame. The first one is this is a real camera. What do you mean this is a real camera? A shoebox with a piece of film and a hole in the front was already a real camera. Camera is anything that takes a picture. So actually anything is a real camera. This justification is just laughable. So let's go to another one. Yeah, on my full frame camera, my 50mm lens is a real 50mm lens. Well, maybe you don't know, but on your APS-C camera, this 50mm lens is also 50mm. And on the Micro Four Thirds, this 50 is also a 50. And on the medium format camera, this 50 is also a 50. So, what's the problem then? Oh no, it's because when you take this 50mm on my full frame it's 50mm, but on APS-C it's 75, and if I put it on a Micro Four Thirds it's 100. So people get mixed up. I think people should not speak in millimeters. Well, when I actually use a 50mm on my Hasselblad medium format analog camera, film camera, I don't have that much money for the digital one. The 50mm, my 80mm is actually 50 on your full frame. So sorry to tell you that if you thought your sensor was the largest thing ever and best and whatever, there are larger sensors and larger films than full frame, okay, which is the equivalent on a 35 film camera. So my question is, have you used an analog camera in 35mm format? No. So until you got this 50mm on your full frame camera, you had no clue how it would look. True? True. So why are you speaking about APS-C? Why are you speaking about Micro Four Thirds? What's important is what it looks on your camera. It doesn't matter what's its name, if it's called 50, 85, 90, 100, 10, 1000mm. It does not matter. What's important is what it gives on your camera. So this is why I think people should not speak in millimeter, but in angle of view. Actually, when you get the specs of your lens, it tells you the angle it covers. So people should say, I need a 45-degree lens, I need a 10-degree lens, I need a 180-degree lens. And this, then the seller said, what camera is it? APS-C, okay, this is the lens. What is full frame? This is the lens. And that's it. You just don't speak in 50 or 35, you just pick an angle. I use a 45-degree lens, I use a 60-degree lens, and that's it. That would be that simple. Actually, on sport and action camera, they don't speak about millimeters, they speak about angle. When you get a GoPro, they don't tell you, you get a 5mm lens. No, they tell you, you get a lens that covers 170 degrees. If you get if you get this new camera that cover everything like 360 degrees, they tell you 360 degrees with two cameras that covers 180. So they just speak in degrees, which is really logical to speak this way. It's not logical to speak in millimeter. So forget this. What's important is how does this lens react on your camera. Other thing is that if you were using analog camera for years and then you loved this 35mm, for example, or 50mm, and now you get to your digital, you say, oh, but it's not like the same way it looked on my analog camera and my film camera. This 50mm is not. Okay, no problem. Now you know that if you want the same look, the same angle, you need on this camera a 35mm, and forget about it. And this story, after a day of using it, you forget about it. You know that to have this look, you use this lens, and that's it. You don't even, you just forget about what it would be on your old camera, on whatever camera. You just know the way it looks on this. Is that complicated? If you can switch on a digital camera and understand the menu, I guarantee you can learn this easy. Another great justification: details. With full frame you get more details. Where do you publish your pictures? Oh, on Facebook, on Flickr, on Instagram. Okay, so you're telling me that your picture that is 5000 pixel long ends up as 800. So you know all these small details, what happened to them? They just go and you don't see any details anymore. They're just all stuck to each other. So details, adios details. So if I use my Micro Four Thirds, instead of going from 5000, maybe I go from 2000. I stop in 600, also 800 also, and my details are less compressed. Maybe it looks the same as your picture, or even better. So, sorry, you print. I forgot it. You print. So what size do you print? 30 by 40 centimeters. You won't see a difference. You print 1 meter by 1.5 meter. Okay, so you think you'll see the difference. Well, I've got a friend who has a poster at home. It was made with a Canon 300D that is almost 15 years old, 5 million pixels. And when I saw the picture, I never believed it was from that camera. Why? First, if the picture is properly exposed and focused, when you're going to print it at that size, it doesn't print with an analog way. It's print with a plotter, and the plotter will interpolate dots and create, and will make it that size with details. They'll just get better. And then people tell me, yes, but if you look close, you see the difference. So what are you telling me? A poster of 1 by 1.5, you look at it like this. Oh, let's see the pixel here, if it's sharp or not. Let's see the details. Oh, I am seeing these details on this poster. Oh yeah. Come on, cut this. That's not the way it is. If you look at a poster of 1 by 1.5, you're standing like 1 meter back and you don't see the difference. Actually, if it was not completely sharp because it had interpolated some dots, when you step back, it's all as sharp. You won't see the difference. Actually, there are many tests, the blind tests, people they see, well, blind, they don't know what camera it was made with, but they do see the pictures, and they're not that blind. But they actually look at different prints, and very often they cannot tell the difference. They cannot tell the difference. Why? Because that's exactly the way I'm telling you. most of the time you won't see the difference in details. This is bullshit. Maybe when you edit your picture and you make a big on your screen, you will see the difference. You know it's there, but you're public. People are looking at the picture, won't see the difference because it's not there anymore when you publish. It's not there anymore. So details, it does not convince me. Second reason, you will make better pictures with a full frame. This is what I hear day after day after day. No, you will not make better picture. If you change format, or if you change camera, or if you change material, you may get better image quality, more or less dynamic range, more or less sharpness if the lens is different, more or less this or that, whatever. But the picture won't be better, because what makes a better picture is you. Your idea, your framing, your composition, your creativity. That is what the picture, good or not, is about. It's not about image quality. And image quality is not down to full frame or not. There are some APS-C cameras that have the same or better image quality, tones or dynamic range as some full frame. So people tell me, yeah, but then when I go with the autofocus, I just get it right. Well, that has nothing to do with full frame or not. It has to do with autofocus quality on this camera. And I remember when I the 5D Mark II, the quality of the autofocus was a disaster. If the light was low, it was impossible to focus properly. So this is nonsense. You will not make better picture using a full frame. You will make better picture if you better your technique and knowledge and ideas and creativity. That's it. So the other justification is depth of field. Yeah, with a full frame you get a very shallow depth of field, and I think, why do they need that depth of field? Let's see. For portrait, so for a portrait normally you need in sharpness from the tip of your nose to your ear. This is sharpness you need, okay? And you know what? With my Micro Four Thirds Olympus, with my 40mm, the equivalent of 80 if I want to translate for people who need translation, yeah, 2.8, I get depth of field from here to here. With my Canon full frame, to get that depth of field I need it to be at f4, and I had it from here to here, or sometimes 5.6, okay, to have that depth of field. So actually, when you think of it, people, they end up closing the lens to be able to get not only more depth of field, very often full frame lenses that you need to close at least one stop to get more sharpness. So they are closing, so the result is they get the same depth of field as I do, and they have to close for sharpness and for depth of field, and they get less light. It means that if they're natural light, they need to put the ISO higher, or if they're using flash, they need more power. So that's a stupid justification. Depth of field maybe on some cases, and they tell me, yeah. Macro photography. Macro photography, if you make a picture of a fly or a spider, you don't want just the tip of the leg, you want the full spider sharpness. So you actually need the smaller the smaller the sensor, the better. Because why? Because actually you can actually get more depth of field, and very often anyway in macro we end up doing focus stacking to make several pictures with changing the point of focus and to get more depth of field. So this is not a valid justification. In what case I think yes, it could be interesting? Well, with wide angle. Why? Because if you need a wide angle, you do like interior photography, or you do a landscape with wide angle, then maybe it's cheaper to get 24mm 2.8 for full frame than a 12mm 2.8 for Micro Four Thirds, for example. Maybe you have to check. I think in some cases, yeah, it's cheaper. Or if you need a 16mm on full frame and 8mm on Micro Four Thirds, maybe it's more expensive. On APS-C, you have to check what you need. But this is maybe the only case I would say, yes, full frame would be maybe better. The problem with full frame is the price tag to play in that league. It's enormous. First, the camera bodies are more expensive, not always, but if you take a top of the range APS-C, like a Nikon D500, maybe it's more expensive, but it is more expensive than a Canon RP. Actually, I made a video about my opinion about the Canon RP. Normally, full frame is more expensive, but we very often speak about the body, we don't speak about the lenses. On a full frame camera, only full frame lenses can go on them, you know, and to actually use them. So in Nikon it's called FX, and in Canon it's called EF. In Sony I can't remember the name, there's something, I don't know how it is. And if you're in APS-C, on Canon is EFS, and on Nikon is it's called DX. Well, very often people then they spend their money on a full frame and they don't have enough money for a good full frame lens, because people think that any full frame lens is good, and that's not right. And I think people are going to kill me when I'm going to say that, but there's a lens called the Canon 24-105 f4, and this is crap lens. Until you get, you need to get too close to f8 to get the sharpness, and from f11 you start to have diffraction. So you spend money on this and you actually use it at f8. So you don't have the depth of field you wanted. You saw me, you don't have the sharpness before you get f8, and then also the first version, the Mark 1, after 2 or 3 years there is like a wire that breaks in there, and to repair it 300 to 400 euros. On the Mark II it seems to be solved, this part. But you buy full frame and then you put that kind of lens on it. For that you better to buy an APS-C, and a good APS-C lens, a good one. And on APS-C you can also put a full frame, so if you have the opportunity to get a good full frame lens, you can put it on your APS-C, and that's it. No problem. So I don't see what's in the mind of people. Why do they want full frame, spend more money for something they don't really need? So my thing is the following: if you tell me you want to buy full frame just because you love it, you'd like to have it, the same as someone say I buy a Ferrari or a Porsche, I can tell him, yeah, but any car has 4 wheels and a steer wheel. Say, yeah, but I want that. Yeah, I think this is fine. This is fine. This is probably the most clever reason to buy full frame, just because I feel like it. I want it. I'd love to have one full frame camera. That's it. Just it's not rational. It's just the way it is. But if you tell me you want full frame for all what I've told you, then you're just throwing your money down the bin, because you will not get all this people are telling you. You better buy a good APS-C or a good Micro Four Thirds, good lenses, and if you have money left, go on vacation with your family, travel, go to a restaurant, enjoy life, pay your debts, but don't spend money on a full frame thinking you will get better picture and all things we are reading now, because this is all bullshit. This is bullshit, honestly. This is my opinion. Maybe you think different, I respect it, but this is what I think. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There is a button down here telling that to subscribe. There's also a small bell. If you click on it, you will get a notification every time I upload a new video. My website, erigibo.com, and if you have any question, you can leave a comment below or send me an email to info@erigibo.com. I also put some links of other part of my YouTube channel. I've put links to my gear on Amazon if there's anything that interests you. Thank you very much. Bye.